There ain't nothing better than a good cold mason jar of water. Spring water. Back in the day, you see, my great-grandfather was a moonshiner. And I heard some stories. So they put the still, the moonshine still, on a wagon. And when they knew the revenue was coming around, they had a plan. So what they'd do is my great-granddad, he would take off running, and his sons would take off running in different directions, and the revenue would take off after my great-granddad. Well, he had a plan. He would run around the mountain. And as he'd run around that mountain, sometimes he'd stop and he'd take a break. And the revenuer would stop and take a break with him, and they'd sit on the log together and they'd talk and they'd tell their stories. You see, they knew each other. And by the time they made it all the way around the mountain, it took a little while, then my great-granddad's sons would hook up to the wagon and pull it out and get it out of there. By the time that my great-granddad and the revenuer got back to the site where they were making the moonshine, all the evidence would be gone. That is kind of the way the mountains worked. You see, years ago, there was a way of life around here. And it was tough, especially during the Great Depression. People had a hard time surviving. And when they had a hard time surviving, they would resort to doing different things to make a living. And they figured out that they could sell corn by the bushel, or they could sell corn by the jar. And they could make a lot more money selling corn by the jar. They would load it up in the tractor trailers and literally take loads to New York and Chicago back before Prohibition. And that's how they made a good living. And with a spring like this, it'd be a perfect location for years ago that if you were walking through the forest up here, it would be very normal for you to walk up on someone's still. And when we were young, that happened sometimes. Sometimes me and my brother would be out fishing or we'd be out hiking, we'd be out in the forest, and we'd walk up on a still. And we were taught from a very young age, if you ever done that, you just ignored it and you kept walking and you got as far as possible away from that still as you could before anyone even knew you were there. Because if you got caught near someone's still, that was not necessarily the smartest thing that you could be doing. Back when we grew up, we were taught it was respectful not to talk about other people, not to tell anyone else what other people were doing, and to not butt into anyone else's business. Sometimes you can make a life that's not going very well even worse, just because you don't know how to stay out of their business. The best thing that you can do in life many times is to touch your top lip to your bottom lip and keep your mouth shut. And you were thinking, oh my goodness, what is he drinking? Water. Just pure, gorgeous, crystal clear, the best tasting spring water from the Smoky Mountains, right here from the Welch family homestead farm that you could ever imagine. Crystal clear, beautiful, beautiful spring water. And that's what a lot of those old timers would look for when they were making what they made out of corn. Some of those same people that you may judge, they might actually be some of the best people you've ever met in your life. They might give you the shirt off their back if you were in need. They may be teaching their family values that maybe you're missing out on because you're so focused on the judgments that you have in your heart. I just got to take one more swig of this. This right here. Authentic mason jar. Wow. Good stuff.